with this pretty large group, around 1,000 people. So we had to send our teams to Greece to and bring them to Portugal. So this is when this movie about their suffering was produced, specifically on this massacre that targeted schoolgirls. So this is something that has really very much related to the topics that we are discussing in this event here. Just to give you a bit even more of context, when we decided that we would bring these Afghan refugees to Portugal, we of course gave preference to women, and within women to girls. Because as you know, those who were following what was happening in Afghanistan, they were the main target of the new government. It's a government that's still there, that of course they don't believe in equality at all, and they also don't believe in education, so their intention is to keep girls out of school. It's a very complex situation there. So these were the people that we gave preference when we were deciding who or how many we would have space to accommodate in Portugal. Two very specific groups that I think were really symbolic of the message that we wanted to pass to the rest of the world was that we got the junior female soccer team of Afghanistan. So it's more or less the equivalent of your Super Falcons. We brought them in bulk, like all of them and their families, to Portugal. Because sports was also one of the things that the new Taliban regime wanted to abolish, especially sports for women. That was like a big no-go for them. And the second example of people that we brought was that we brought in also the whole National Institute of Music, which was the Kabul Orchestra, which was also mainly composed by women. We also brought them in bulk to Portugal because they were also, of course, ordered to close down. Music is also something that Taliban decided to abolish because they believe it's not compatible with religion. So just to give you an idea of the magnitude of the challenge that this meant, but also even when in these very dark stories you can still get some positive glimmers of hope, and you can still give the example when it's most needed. Going now straight to the longer documentary that we were watching, and that I believe you'll still be screening the rest of it. It's about Portugal, as you've seen. Well, at least you had an opportunity to listen a bit to my language. And it's about also the struggle for equality in Portugal. And I think this is important for you to understand that, of course, for what I've just said, you probably believe that Portugal is a very modern country, very open to equality and all that, but we still have our challenges. So for you to understand that these problems are really global, and that you shouldn't feel that some countries have solved these problems and some others didn't. We are still in a very long way to equality. So this documentary shows you, or tries to explain, how backward our country was still not that long ago, 50 years ago, when you saw these testimonies of these older ladies explaining that they were treated like garbage. This was not a long time ago. This was just 50 years. And that even after that, and the movie was now getting to that part, even after 1974, which was when we had the revolution that brought democracy to our country, these struggles continued. So we're seeing now this discussion on abortion, and that people were still being jailed for that. Few years after the revolution, it was still a problem. And also the more modern testimonies that you are getting there on the prevalence of gender-based violence. We still get dozens of women killed every year, usually by their husbands or partners, just because they're women. So we're still fighting, trying to get to a better place than what we are now. But it's not solved yet. So this is also I think this is an important message, that you shouldn't see things like this, good and bad, that some countries are very advanced and some are not. Everybody's in the process. Maybe some of us are a bit more advanced. But there's always this room for us to change experiences and see how we solved our problems, and then try to inspire others to go the same way. This was what I wanted to say. And just to finish, congratulate you on this fantastic initiative. I was reading there that this is Africa's biggest women's film festival. Congratulations for achieving that. And thank you for selecting Portuguese movies to show here, so that people in Nigeria know a bit more about our country. Thanks a lot for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for having us share this moment with you. We popularly say we're the biggest because we're the first as well. It's the first of its kind, not only in Nigeria, but in West Africa as well. We've not had a festival like this specially curated for women filmmakers, where we get to not only identify women filmmakers around the world, but celebrate them, make sure that their work is seen widely. We're very much excited about tomorrow, when the women's films will be up for the awards. And incidentally, these two films we watched are up for the awards as well in different categories. For Newest Portuguese Letters, it's up for Best Documentary Feature, and Wings of Hope is up for, I think, one of the other categories, either production design or sound design. So we really hope Portugal wins, fingers crossed. We'll know tomorrow. But thank you again for being here and sharing this moment with us. I think you've said a lot about that huge gap in terms of marginalization of women and the history of exclusion and limitations we've had to bear. And a lot of these festivals and storytelling is really women just speaking out and challenging that history of exclusion and marginalization. So I'll go straight into our next session, and we're bringing up somebody who is very familiar here already. She hosted us excellently well yesterday, but today she'll be doing a presentation. I'm calling up Miss Linda Obasi. She is an actress. She is an actress in New York and Abuja. She has a very, very impressive background. Please take your seat. You're the boss today. She has a very interesting background. Her education has been in film, in acting, in New York, and she is going to be talking about Character Chronicles, a celebration of casting and craft. And we have her speaking about this because she's done something phenomenal. She created an app called Enyi Cast. She'll be telling us a bit about that as well. Yesterday, we were so passionate talking about the casting couch and all of the challenges we have in our casting space. So trust me, she's very, very well equipped to talk about that. At this point, I'll hand over the mic to her, and she'll take us on this interesting ride. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I like this one. This one's purple. Yesterday I had blue. I like purple and yellow better. So thank you. And all right. So I'm Linda Obasi. I'm an actor and filmmaker, and I created an app called Anycast, which I'll talk about later on in the presentation. So I actually made a PowerPoint quickly last night. This is my first time using one of these things. I'm so excited. So, all right, on. Could I please have the first slide, and then I'll start using this. Oh my God, it's so exciting. So I'm going to be talking about casting and the process of casting, casting directors, and a celebration of excellence in casting. So, trying to remember the first topic. Oh, okay. Thank you. So, this is actually the 4th page. If you just go back, please. Oh, I can go back with this thing. Magic. Back. There it is. A celebration of casting and craft. That's what I'm going to talk about, casting and acting. So, what is casting? Basically, choosing actors for roles. That's it. Simple, casting. And there's professional ways to do it and unprofessional ways to do it. Yesterday, we talked a lot about the unprofessional ways of casting. But the most professional way to cast is pretty much creating a casting breakdown first. The breakdown just tells you the characters' names, their gender, their age. So that's the most basic breakdown of a script. This character is a male in his 30s. This one is a female in her 40s. And their names. That's a casting breakdown. Then they'll have what we call cattle calls. That, they'll just put out a notice, and hundreds or thousands of people could come, depending on how big the project is. That's a cattle call. Those are difficult because the people who are casting and watching you, they'll get tired. If 300 people show up for, maybe say 10 roles, they'll end up getting tired. So cattle calls are difficult. Since COVID, self-tapes have become really big because now, even when they're able to have an audition in person, they want you to send them a tape, self-tape. Just do a monologue and send it to them. That's becoming very popular now. Then, of course, the regular auditions where you prepare a monologue, you meet them. Callbacks. If you get called back, that means you're doing well. It means they want to see more. And then screen tests. Sides are the actual script. So when you first come to audition, you might have your own monologue that you got from any other movie or play. But the sides are the actual pages from the job you're auditioning for. So if you're getting sides and you're doing a screen test, that means you're really close to getting the role. So that's really good. And that's pretty much the most thorough type of casting there can be. Unprofessional casting methods at the bottom here is what we talked about yesterday. How people get roles that have nothing to do with if they have the talent or if they earned the role. For example, the executive producer's daughter might get the lead role just because she's the daughter of the guy who paid for the movie. Or the director's girlfriend. Or the producer's boy toy. There's a lot of that in Abuja. Big women producers who have lots of money, they'll find one pretty boy and I'll make you a star. This is all unprofessional, but it happens in all cultures. And influencers. Believe it or not, as much as we love social media influencers with the millions of followers, they're not actually trained actors. And a lot of times when they get cast in lead roles, they don't really serve the story. They don't really do a good job of acting. But often the producer or director casts them because they think that they will help the project to sell or get more views. So influencers, this is all unprofessional, but it all happens a lot. It's the reality. And professional way of casting is difficult and thorough, but this is our profession. We should take it seriously. This is just some audition tips. Are there any actors in here? Any actors? People who like suffering? Right. Well, I'll just run through this very quickly. Follow instructions. This is just tips on how to get an acting job. Just some tips. Follow instructions. The very easy things that you overlook are often the things that cost you the job. If they say that they want you to dress in corporate attire for the audition or something small like that, or send us 2 pictures and a monologue, and you send them no pictures and a voice note, those little things will cost you the job. So try to pay attention to what they ask for when they're looking for actors. Be punctual. Little things will cost you the job. Be pleasant. A lot of times you might be going through a lot in your personal life. Something happened at home, and you bring that stress into the audition with you. And you think, okay, I'm going to walk down the hallway with whatever stress I have, and then I'm going to do my monologue really well, and then I'm going to get the part. And it doesn't work that way. They're judging you from the minute that they lay eyes on you. So if you enter with bad energy or a bad attitude or you're unhappy, and then you come and do this really happy monologue, they won't cast you based on the monologue. They'll cast you based on how you walked in. So that one is key. The audition starts the moment you arrive, not when you do the monologue itself. Be confident in posture and movement. Now, believe it or not, I actually have stage fright a lot. Yesterday, I had a big case of it. So I was just, very nervous. This is another whole topic on its own, but try as much as you can to be relaxed, be confident, be friendly. Those things are also related to getting the job, not just being talented. It's very rare that a very talented actor who is extremely shy and not social will still get the job. That's rare. It rarely happens. But so these are little things that can help you get the job. Resemble your photos. If you've lose weight, gain weight, change your hair, got tattoos, shaved your beard, your photos should look the way you look when you walk in. Create a clear sight line of who you're talking to. So during the monologue, if you're talking to a partner in your scene while acting, position them, use your imagination, your acting technique, position them somewhere and keep them there. Don't have the person you're talking to is here 1 minute, then you look away and then now they're over here. Little things like that, those details will help you to look more professional, to be more professional. Don't use the casting person as your scene partner. I was casting a project and a man was doing a monologue where he's angry at his wife and he's like, "You, after everything I did for you, and you didn't pay, you went and told people and you embarrassed me," and he was talking to me and he was pointing at me and he was looking at me and I was like, I didn't do that to you. This is a professional audition. So if you use the casting person as your scene partner, you're putting them on the spot, you're making them uncomfortable, and they're not going to be easily able to judge your acting. They're just going to be caught in your gaze. So don't use the producer or the director or the casting director as your scene partner. Create an invisible person, or maybe if there's an assistant in the room, maybe use the assistant. Don't use the director. You're putting them on the spot. The 4 W's and how, I'll talk about that a little more later. It's just the four basic questions you ask for every scene. I'll talk about that later. Understand your character's obstacle. I'll talk about the obstacle later too. Connect with your reader. If you have a reader, connect with them, make eye contact. Sometimes play opposites. Opposites, not always the expected action. So if there's a scene where you walk in on your partner, you caught your partner cheating on you, what is the predictable and expected reaction? Anger, rage, violence. Play opposites means do what the viewer will not expect you to do. You walk in on your partner in bed with someone cheating on you, maybe laugh. Maybe laugh and take it lightly. Now that will engage the viewer because they're expecting you to be enraged and shouting and throwing things and fighting. Playing opposites. Find moments in your scenes and in your acting in general to do the opposite of what people expect, because that's engaging. It'll keep eyeballs on you while you're acting. Find the love. Even villains have a moment where where love is seen. If you're playing a bad guy or a cop or somebody angry, find moments where they can be human. Find moments where you can see love. When I say love, I don't mean romantic love. I mean moments of human vulnerability. Find those moments and play them. That will give the character depth and make your audition better. Self-tape in landscape, turn the phone sideways. So most auditions, they want the video in landscape, and then use simple background. And then when you're done, let it go. A lot of times when we finish auditioning, we torture ourselves. Why didn't I get the role if you don't get it? Don't torture yourself. Just know if you did a good job in the audition, when you're done, let it go and get ready for the next audition. It's very important. So these are audition tips. A bunch of them. Okay, what is a casting director? Now, I actually have not met any casting director since I've been in Nigeria for a few years. Casting director just picks the actors. They choose who's most suitable for the roles. Who I see casting is usually directors. I often see production managers casting. And that's not really their job, but that's what I see here. Assistant director might cast, a producer might cast, but whether or not there's a casting director on a project, the person who has the final say is the director, who he wants to play each role. So That's what a casting director is. They choose the best actors. And casting directors, this is an art form in its own because it goes beyond just picking an actor who can act well or picking an actor who's beautiful. A good casting director can see beyond the performance and see something deeper in that person that they know will fit this role and the performance will shine and pop. A good casting director can see that. All right, casting factors. These are the factors in if you're going to get the job or not. Talent and skill, of course, should be number one. Another one is type. Type is very big. I'm going to talk about that soon. If they're looking for a villain or somebody who's like a large villain that looks like they can kill people or something like a monster, and you are very short and petite and slim, and you have a soft voice, then you don't fit the type for that role. So you won't get that job. So understanding type will help save actors a lot of anguish. If you know that this is not your type, then that's why you didn't get that job, then you can let it go. So I'll talk more about type later. Chemistry. You might have the skill and you might be the right type, but when they do screen tests with you and the other actors in the project, there might not be chemistry. Chemistry meaning, chemistry is something difficult to describe because it's not technical. It's not a technical term, but when two people are talking to each other, you can just see as an audience member, as a viewer, you can see the energy going between them. You can see the connection happening between them, and they look good on camera together or on stage together. That's what they call chemistry. If you are really talented and you fit the type, but you and the other person that they've already cast don't have any chemistry, they might not give you the role. So that's another thing that's not in your control, chemistry. This is another factor in casting. Then following and fame. Some people, like I mentioned before, get cast because they have a lot of Instagram followers or because they're famous, not because they're right for the role. And when this is done, the project is really probably going to suffer because that person might not be talented, might not be the right type, might not have chemistry with the other characters, but they have 23 million followers on TikTok or Instagram, and that's why they got the lead role. But that is a factor that's sometimes used to cast actors. And then beauty. Sometimes some people are just, beautiful people. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but there's certain general characteristics of beauty that cut across cultures. I remember when I was in school, my friends were taking a class called Human Bonding, and they were studying the human face and what is generally considered beautiful across cultures. They said symmetry. If the left side of your face looks the same as the right side of your face, that's considered beautiful. Big eyes are considered more beautiful, which is why a lot of plastic surgery, people make their eyes bigger. High cheekbones. Then the golden ratio. The golden ratio is like a 2/3 rule in art that you'll find in a lot of artwork and also in nature. So my friends were studying what is considered beautiful across cultures. So again, this has nothing to do with talent, but there are people who are just beautiful, and they will often get cast because they're beautiful. That's another mistake, I think, for the story, because the story should be king. The story should be served by everything. The story should be served by the casting, by the acting, by the cinematography, the camera work. The story should be served by the lights. The story should be served by the sound recording, the sound editing, and the score. The story should be the king of the whole project. But other things become king, like somebody beautiful might get cast. So these are just some factors. Whether they're right or wrong, these are the factors that are involved in actors being chosen. Know your type. This is what I was mentioning earlier about type. So let me read this because, typecasting, it's based on things that we cannot control, such as our age, our gender, our body build. This is all components of our type. We can't change or control these things. So this is why it's important for actors to know that casting directors use this to cast. If they're casting based on something you can't change or control, don't beat yourself up. If you know inside that you auditioned well, you can let it go. It feels unfair to know, you might feel like you can play a romantic lead very well, but you always get cast as a villain or you always get cast as a nerd. Because this is based on outer looks. Now, deeper casting is when they look at your spirit, your energy, your performance, and cast against. The term they use is to cast against type. when they cast against type. It's when they give somebody a role that they don't look like. Like somebody might look like a villain and they might cast him as the romantic lead, like somebody who falls in love. Or someone might look like the romantic lead, somebody who's beautiful and tall, but they might cast them as the villain or the sidekick or the nerd. Here are some types here. We have hero, IT nerd, a villain, a detective. Some people just look like detectives. Some people look like CEOs. Some people look like mentors. We have the wise elder. We have the politician, the outsider, the bad boy, the runs girl. We have the mom. Some people look like moms. They just look like moms. You just look at them and like you don't know if they have kids or not, but they just look like a mom. This is what I'm talking about. This is typecasting. And it's kind of a bad thing if you think about it. I'm an individual. I can play any role. I'm an actor. But they don't have time to look at the deeper you. They're in a hurry. They might have 500 people to choose from. So the quickest way for them to cast a role is based on type. They'll just sum you up quickly. This looks like a mom. We'll cast her as the mom. That one he could pass as a detective. We'll cast him as a detective. That's like it. Casting is time consuming. When I was in school, long time ago, before the internet, I was in Chicago. I got my MFA in acting in Chicago. And I heard of a director in Chicago, a renowned director, who he would get so many qualified entries for the roles that he didn't know where to begin. So back then we used to mail our headshot, 8x10 printed with our resume on the back, our CV on the back. He would get bags of them. So this man would take them to his dining room and spread the pictures of the actors across the floor, take off his shoes, and walk on the pictures. And you know the pictures were glossy. So any picture that stuck to his foot, he would take that one and call that actor to come and audition. That's how he chose, because all of the pictures on the floor, they all had masters in acting. They all went to school for acting. They were all qualified. They were all beautiful. He didn't know where to begin to separate. This is before the internet as well. And he actually did that. And I mean, you can't really blame him. How will he begin? Imagine having 500 pictures for one role. 500 men in their 30s who all look similar. How do you differentiate them? So he just walked on their pictures and picked up 5 or 7, called them into audition. And one of them, that's complete chance. That has nothing to do with you or your skill. So it's good for you as actors to know that this happens. I interned at Bernard Telsey Casting, and I saw things like this, and I was like, wow. So there's a lot involved in getting cast that's beyond how skilled you are. So like I was saying, typecasting can be really restrictive, but it is what it is. So it's important to know, how do people see you as an actor? Ask other actors, directors, casting directors, ask them, what type do you think I am? Because we don't see ourselves, some of us, many people don't see themselves clearly. You know, you might feel like you're a frog. I am a frog. I know I'm a frog. But everybody else looks at you and they see a cat. So keep asking people, how do you see me? What type do you see me in? What role do you see me in? That will help you know what roles to go for. And that will help you get cast. It will help your career greatly. And this is just something I wrote, just again, to help actors, because we deal with a lot of rejection in our careers. You know, some actors have gone to 50 auditions, especially in places like New York and Hollywood, where there's so many actors. You can go to 50 auditions before you get one small job. What do you do while you after getting rejected 49 times? That's a lot of rejection. So you have to be prepared for that and not take it personally, and just know the only thing you should ask about is what you can control, and know the difference between what you can control and what's not in your control. What you can control is, were you courteous and positive? Were you focused and excellent in your performance? Did you arrive at least 15 minutes early or submit on time? Did you submit a self-tape that was well lit with a good performance on it? And were you dressed decently? That's all you can control. These other ones here, what is not in your control, okay, not being the physical type that the director has in mind, which includes age, ethnicity, body type, height, etc. A skill you don't have is needed, like swimming or dance. The role might need a swimmer or a dancer, and you don't do either one. That's not in your control. The role was promised to someone else for cash or favors. That's not in your control. Your audition was scheduled at the very last end of the day and the director was tired. That's not in your control. You resemble an ex of the director or the producer. That is not in your control. Literally, it happens. It's just like this person, somebody's energy and vibe and look, they can just come in and you look like his ex-wife. You're not getting the role, but you'll never know why. Okay? Roles are handed out by nepotism, not earned by merit or skill. Or your height. Your height doesn't match your co-star's height, especially if there's a love story involved or anything like that. They might not want to pair people that are just too different in size. They want them to be kind of closer. People like Tom Cruise. Everybody knows Tom Cruise, you know, one of the biggest Hollywood superstars. He's a very short man. And they do all manners of camera tricks to make him look taller. Sometimes he wears heels. Sometimes they put him closer to the camera and put the woman that he's doing the love scene with, position her behind him so that he looks like he's her height or he looks taller. He's a big superstar. He's like one of the biggest superstars in Hollywood history. So they're gonna do things like that for him. And he's also the producer now of most of the movie he acts in. So, but for an unknown person, something like your height will affect the casting. That's not in your control. There are countless possible factors that you will never know. So just focus on the next audition. And this is very important for peace of mind as an actor. Character building and script analysis. I'll just touch on this briefly because this is more technical. If you have enough time with a script, you can do some of these things. A lot of times in Nigeria, I find that there's not much time with the script. I've gotten scripts 1 hour. I've gotten scripts on arrival, and then an hour later, the camera's rolling. And how much work can I do on my character's depth in that 1 hour? So that's really frustrating, but Nigeria has also taught me to be flexible, you know, to improvise more, you know, to be in the moment. That's a very important skill as well. But I just wish I had a little more time with scripts. Break down the script into beats and actions with a climax. Climax of a script is very important. It's the moment of the highest intensity of the story. You should know where the climax is because it gives your story an arc. Create a character backstory, you know. Answer questions about your character from their childhood all the way up to adulthood. Make up their life. Make up a backstory. Answer the 4 W's and how, which I'll go over later. And then really play, AKA fight. Fight and play. Those 2 words are really what actors do. And they're fight and play. They don't sound like the same thing, but in the world of acting, they're the same thing. And I'll explain a little more about that on the next slide. Rising action and climax. So I turned a story into math, basically. A story should build. It should have different moments, beat changes, variety and energy, variety in attack and action. And there should be one place in the story that is the most intense. And that place is usually near the very end of the story. You don't want to have the climax near the beginning. That's the definition of the term anticlimactic. If the climax happens at the beginning of the story, then 1 hour later, the audience, the person watching the story is just like, when will this movie end? When will this play end? Because your climax happened too early in the beginning of the story. It should happen near the end of the story, meaning that the action should build in intensity throughout. So that's what this is about here. And then I put here a little note here in gray. Formulas and templates were made to be broken. First know the rules and then break them with intention and style. So a lot of times I get mathematical when I'm talking about acting and formulaic and all these structures and boxes, but that doesn't mean that we're robots and that we should do it that way. It's good to know these formulas and these structures so you can, as an artist, so you can break them intentionally. Do something different intentionally and do something unexpected intentionally. This is about beat changes. So I look at a story like a song. You know, songs have beats and, you know, maybe 4 beats per measure and then certain number of measures, and that makes the whole song. I look at stories the same way, and a script is usually broken into acts, which are broken up into scenes. An actor's job is to break each scene into beats. Find at least 2 or 3 places in a scene that the energy can shift or transition, and that will make the scene more interesting. How do you know where a beat change could happen? Whenever you change your verbal action or your tactic. This is getting very technical. The point is, have beat changes in your scenes. This is probably the most important aspect of acting. Anytime you open your mouth to act or you begin a scene, whether there's words or not, you need to know what you want. What is your objection in this moment? What do you want from the other person in the room with you? Or what do you want from the listener? Some people call it objective. Some people call it motivation. Some people call it want. It's all the same thing. What do you want in this scene? You always need to know what you want in a scene. And these 4 W's and how, these are the 5 questions you should ask. So even if you have a script for 1 hour, you have time to ask these 5 questions. Who are you talking to? What is your relationship to the other character in the scene? Where are you? Are you on the beach? Are you in a bedroom? Are you in a kitchen? When is it happening? Meaning, what happened the moment before the scene started? That will catapult you into the scene. What is your objective? That's your motivation. What do you want? That's probably the most important of the 5 questions. And how are you going to get it? How are you going to get it is the different ways, the different actions you take to get what you want. Let's say your boss walks into the room and you want to get a raise in pay. The how is how are you going to get him to increase your pay? What are some examples? You can compliment your boss. You look really great today. I love your suit. You're complimenting him. You're flattering him. That's one way. Or you could use guilt. You could say, my rent is late, and I'm going to be evicted tomorrow. And if I just had more pay, and now you're trying to make him feel guilty and make him feel bad. Maybe by using guilt, he will increase your pay. So that's just 2 different actions, 2 different ways you can try to get what you want. I want my boss to give me more money. I can flatter him and compliment him. I can make him feel guilty. I can guilt him into giving me more money. There's dozens of other ways I can go about doing it, but that's basically all acting is. You want something and you try different ways to get it. You switch to different ways you try to get it. And fight. So raising the stakes. When an actor is performing and the thing that they want is not that urgent and not that important, it will affect the way they perform. For example, that boss, if I wanted to get the raise, I could tell him, you look really great today. Your suit, I like that suit. I'm glad. And I'm really having this problem with my rent, and I could be evicted any minute now. That level of casualness means that your stakes are not very high. It's not that important to you. The more important you make the thing that you want, which is raising the stakes, then the more intense is the fight. So in acting, it's almost like the audience is coming to see a boxing match. They want to see 2 or more people on camera or on stage, all fighting for what they want, clashing with each other in that fight. That is the definition of drama. Without conflict, there's no drama. So, in real life, people say, I want to be drama-free. You want to have a peaceful life in general. But on camera or on stage, you don't want peace. You want problems. Always. Like, on camera or on stage, you're supposed to be fighting. You're not supposed to be peaceful. Because if you're peaceful, the audience won't watch. They came to watch a fight. Give them a fight. Go for what you want. And that's the essence of acting, pretty much. How to get cast. Okay, now no one is entitled to a role. I've seen this a lot since I've been in Nigeria. A lot of people DM me because of the casting app. And they know that sometimes I produce, and some people literally write me messages that say, you haven't been giving me roles. Give me roles. What? Is a role like a cookie or a biscuit that I just hand out to people for nothing? A role is a job. You have to earn it. So that word I keep hearing in this culture is entitlement. It's across the board. Even in the film industry, people feel like they're entitled to roles. For whatever reason, internally, they feel like you owe them something. A lot of people who don't even know me tell me, you didn't give me roles. I never promised you a role, first of all, and are you employable? Can you act? So how to get cast? Be employable, be ready. Keep yourself like in shape, learn your craft. In shape, not just like exercise, but in shape, like be doing monologues, be warmed up. Be warmed up as an actor. So if somebody calls you tomorrow to come and read for a role, you're ready to read. As an actor with a long career, it's hard to do this because there's sometimes we might go months without a role. Sometimes years without an acting role. Even if you haven't had a role in 2 years, that doesn't mean you're not an actor anymore. You're an unemployed actor, but if you're an actor in your heart, then you're an actor for life. But those periods that you don't have an acting job, you cannot let yourself go into like a coma, an acting coma. You should always be watching good actors work. You should always be learning new monologues. You should always stay warm. Be ready. Network. Now, network. No actors who are not your type. Now, there's a reason I bring this up. Now, if two women who are both 22 years old, who look alike, are good friends, and they're both actors, and they go to auditions together, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to affect their friendship because they're going for the same job all the time. Every audition, we go together, we're going for the same role. That's going to affect their friendship. So try to make friends with actors who are not your type. Like, maybe the opposite gender. Have an actor friend if you're a woman, who's a man, and you go to auditions with him. Or if it's a woman who's a different age from you or a different type from you, so that you're not going for the same jobs. That's a good practice to have, so that you have a partner, a buddy, but you're not in competition with them. I mean, we're only human. How can you not feel bad if your best friend got a role that you really, really, really wanted? So be friends with her, but don't go to auditions with her. Just to spare your own, your own sanity. Join groups, join WhatsApp groups, join theater groups, and just network as much as possible. Register on apps and websites, and be on NYCast. NYCast is the app that I created like a long time ago when I was interning for Bernard Kelsey. Is it here? Oh, this should come first. Origin of NYCast. NYCast, when I was an intern, I just had the idea when I was in school what if there's a database of actors where you have their photos and their specs and their location, and you can also post jobs there, like in a news feed. This is before Facebook that I envisioned this, and I got an IT specialist in Abuja to build it. So NYCast was a website in 2007, believe it or not. But I was in New York, and it was a website for Nollywood. So you can see why that didn't really work well. At that time, I needed to physically be in Nigeria to market it. So NYCast was rebuilt as a mobile app in 2022. And now, this idea is pretty much everywhere. Casting apps are the standard in casting in the US, in India, in Europe. No matter where you go, that's how they cast. They go to these apps first. Nigeria's casting climate is still very myriad and still developing, but the casting apps, for example, in New York, I'm in 3 apps. One of them is called Backstage, Actors Access, and New York Castings. Whenever I'm in New York, I just resubscribe. My profile is always there. My headshots are always there. My videos, I update them. If it's like a year or 2 has passed, I put new photos, new videos, update my CV, add a few more jobs, and I just pay the subscription fee. And then I start getting jobs, like getting job posts by email, or I get alerts, depending on what setting you use. So that's what NYCast does. And if you're an actor, also if you're a filmmaker, because NYCast has 2 functions. It has the function of getting seen as talent, showing, having a profile online on the app. And it also has the function for producers and directors to find their crew. All talent, it's pretty much like a database. It's pretty straightforward, but it's made specifically for casting. Unlike Facebook, which has, a lot of people use Facebook for casting, but Facebook isn't made specifically for casting. A lot of people use WhatsApp. There are WhatsApp casting groups, but these methods are not really efficient because they can't search you. For example, on NYCast, if, let's say tomorrow morning, I need 3 teenage girls who are all dark-skinned, I can go on NYCast and search location, Abuja, gender, female, age, teens. I can even search by skin color. And then NYCast will give me search results of whoever matches this immediately. And I can DM them in the app and ask them, can you come in tomorrow morning? You can't do that with Facebook, and you can't do that with WhatsApp. And that's why NYCast will make life a lot easier for those who use it. It's taking time, but it's picking up. We have a few thousand users on it, a few thousand profiles, but I just want to spread awareness about it and let everyone know that it exists. I just want to jump back quickly to the Nollywood Actors Kit. Now, the first 4 things here, all actors need, no matter what country you're in. You need a headshot, You need a monologue. You need a reel. If you have any footage, you need a reel. And maybe a passport. If you can get a passport, have one, just in case you fit one of those roles that's in an international project. But the rest of these things are needed specifically in Nollywood. Nollywood is like the home of independent productions. A lot of productions that don't have the budgets to buy the costumes for every cast member and the wigs. There's so many wigs. So if you are an actor and you have a lot of different types of clothing and different wigs and things like that, and you're known for that, that will actually give you an edge. If you're known for having a lot of costumes and a lot of wigs, that will, besides your acting talent, besides your looks, you're making the producer and the production manager's life a little easier. So that's why I added this to the Nollywood Actors Kit. That's what makes it Nollywood. And I even heard in some places that having a car, some places in the East, if you have a car, you'll get more roles just because you have a car. For two reasons. One, you can get to the location more easy. They don't have to worry about getting you on the location bus or whatever. But two, if your car looks decent, or even if your car doesn't look decent, depending on the scene, they'll use your car as a picture car in the movie. So any actor that's in like some remote part in the East who has a car, that car is gonna get them more acting jobs. So these are the things that are unique to Nollywood. These things, like I've never heard of this like in New York or whatever, but this is what I learned here. So I put this little list together. By the way, all of these like tips and others that I give in acting webinars usually, they're all online. My company website is nyemedia.com. So if you go to nyemedia.com/talent tips, or just go to Nyemedia and look for talent tips. Talent tips. So every single webinar I've ever given, the notes from the webinar are on that page for free. So if you're an actor, go there and check them out. Some of them are useful. So that's the origin of NYCast. And now, the last part of my casting presentation is celebration of career launching and genre redefining casting. I think this might be my favorite part because these actors really inspired me, and I think the casting was like superb. So I'm gonna just show a handful of actors, and maybe you guys can help me. Let me know if you recognize who the actor is, and if you recognize what movie it is. Does anybody know? King of Boys, and her name? Yeah. So I have to remember the title of this segment is Career Launching, Genre Redefining. Now, when I saw this movie, this is a little lady that looks like she could play a grandma, and she ends up being a gangster. Like, to me, I wasn't expecting that when I first saw this film. I was very, very, very much impressed with the casting choice to make the king a woman, even though that's almost becoming a cliche now, woman king, but when I first saw this, I was really impressed with it. And then her performance, of course, to me was riveting. This harmless-looking little lady is like the most dangerous gangster villain with like a demon in her. That's why I have this as an example of genre redefining and career launching casting. This might not have launched her career, but after this film, everybody knows who she is now, for sure. Chadwick Boseman in Ma Rainey. Now, Chadwick is the Black Panther. He's a superhero. When Chadwick plays the Black Panther, I think that role has certain confines. He's a superhero. Superheroes are always supposed to be strong, know it all. You're a superhero. You're super. You're not human. You're not regular. So his performance in Panther was great. But it was this performance that struck me, his performance in Ma Rainey. Now, by the time he did this performance, he was already dying of cancer. He had already been struggling with cancer for years, and he wasn't sharing it with the public. So some superstitious people say that because in this film, there's some lines in the film where he insults God, that because of that role, that's why he died of cancer. I don't know if I agree with that. That's a little superstitious. He was already dying anyway, actually. Like, he had lost so much weight by the time he did this role that, everybody has their own personal definition of God and how they believe God functions. Some people believe that he died because of this role. I do not. I think he did superbly well in this role. That's all I can say about that. But it's not as popular as Panther. Is it called Panther or Black Panther? Yeah, that one is more popular. But this performance, to me, is a standout performance. Yep. Joaquin Phoenix. This is another actor who I've been seeing in like, you know, here and there, different movies all my life. And he didn't really like, he's always good. But this one I saw on a plane on my way to Nigeria. So the screen was right here, like 5 inches from my face. And I watched this one, Joker. And I was just terrified and so moved and so impressed with his performance, the nuance, the depth. Joker, you know, as a superhero, they've already added layers to the Joker. But I think Joaquin added like 3 more layers to the Joker in making him a human being and making him stand out. So I thought this performance should be definitely celebrated, in my opinion. Definitely, well, not definitely. I doubt anybody will know the film, but does anybody even know who she is? Meryl Streep. That's Meryl Streep. And the film is called Sophie's Choice. It's a very old film. It's a very old film. Now, this scene, literally this scene, I can say, affected me in such a personal way that it was this moment in this film. That's the moment when I already decided, like, I'm already gone for life. When I say gone for life, I was like, I'm an actor now. Before that, I'd just been like, I like acting. Acting is good. I think I want to go into it. But from the moment I saw this scene, now what happened when I watched this scene, I was a teenager, and it's the first time I learned and I knew that acting was not just technical, that acting is also spiritual. There are things that actors do that cannot be taught in any classroom by any teacher. There are things that actors do that cannot be repeated. For example, this scene, they only shot it once, one take. After she did this take, she couldn't repeat it. She said it was too painful. So this take, this film that she won an Oscar for, she only did it one time. Now, something happened during this performance that it reached out through the screen, some kind of energy that came out through the screen and touched me, and I had a physical reaction to it. And it's the first time that I realized the actual power in acting. It's beyond words. So this is Meryl Streep in Sophie's Choice. Well, this one is tough. You can't even see his face. The person in the wheelchair. That's Daniel Day-Lewis. And this is My Left Foot, another very old film. Daniel Day-Lewis and Meryl Streep, both of them are known for spending like a year on a role. For example, that Sophie's Choice, this one here, she needed to have a Polish accent. So she went to Poland and she learned Polish. By the end of the 6 months, she was speaking Polish fluently. So in the movie, she doesn't need Polish. She only needs to speak English with a Polish accent. But in real life, she actually learned Polish to speak the English with a Polish accent. Now, how many of us have 6 months to work on an accent, a dialect? That's a huge luxury. Same thing with Daniel Day-Lewis. So in this film, it's called My Left Foot. It's a disabled man who was a painter and a writer his paintings became famous. He became famous for his paintings. Now, Daniel Day-Lewis, I don't know how many months he lived in a wheelchair. That man's, the only appendage he could use was his left foot. So he used his left foot to type and to paint. His right foot and both arms were paralyzed. So Daniel Day-Lewis, I don't know how many months he spent in a wheelchair. He made everybody around him feed him, carry him in and out of the wheelchair. Like, I know it must have been a nightmare to be around him while he was preparing for this role, because he was known for being, I heard he's retired from acting, but he was known for being extreme. But whatever casting director chose him for this role, I don't know what that casting director saw, but he was perfect for the role. And he made it stand out to me. The film is called My Left Foot. And the last one, oh no, there's 2 more. This one and one other one. Does anybody know him? Yeah, his name's Ed Norton. This is his first major film, and he was nominated for an Oscar for this film. The film is called Primal Fear. It's just another psychological thriller. Thrillers are a dime a dozen. But his performance in this one stood out. The character he played was somebody who has multiple personalities. He committed murder, but the audience is not supposed to be sure if he committed the murder or not. Then we find out that he has two personalities, well, three personalities. One of his personalities is an innocent boy, another one is a bad guy, another one is, there are three personalities. And he convinces us, I don't want to give away, like spoil the film, but he convinces us that one of his personalities is the one who committed the murder. So in this film, he basically played three characters. And he played them so well, with such distinction. I could literally tell you which one. From any photo from the film, you can tell which of the three he's playing. No makeup, no special effects. It's all acting that he was able to pull off three people. His name is Ed Norton. And the last one, Angela Bassett. And do you guys remember the film? It's another old movie. It's called What's Love Got to Do with It? She played Tina Turner. And of course, she met Tina Turner. She spent time with Tina, interviewed her, got to know her, wanted to really do justice to the role in playing this woman, because Tina Turner was in a domestic violence marriage with her husband, Ike Turner, who was also her manager and her producer. So like he owned her. So it was a horrible experience that Tina Turner went through with that husband. And Angela Bassett, I think, really, really did it justice. Of course, she's also a trained actor. She's got her MFA in acting. And this performance to me, you know, you see her today. She was also in Black Panther. She played, what is his name? T'Challa? She played T'Challa's mother. That's, you know, she did well. Very noble, dignified queen. But it was like, there wasn't room in that role for her to show layers and dynamics. In this role, too many layers, too many dynamics. So that is the last of the genre redefining and career launching celebrations in casting. So for now, I would like to know if anybody has any thoughts on any of the topics I covered, or suggestions, or any questions, or anything at all to say about any of the topics. Oh, and then NECAST, I have some flyers in my bag. Sorry, grab this. NECAST is on Google Play Store and Apple Store. So you guys can check it out right now. And oh, thank you. You can download NECAST now, check it out. It's very easy to use. A lot of 13-year-olds are on NECAST. I don't know how they found out about it, because when they reach out to me for help, like, you know, or to ask questions, I'm like, how old are you? 13. Did your parents know you're on this app? Like, kids are so tech savvy and they're so eager, you know, especially kids of today. There are 13-year-olds who want to be actors. And I have to keep telling them, you can't go to an audition by yourself. You're 13. Tell your parents, find a cousin who's over 18 to go with you to the audition so you don't get kidnapped. But the reason I bring that up is that the app is very easy to use. So if you have a minute right now, go to Play Store, go to Google Store, find NECAST. The logo is on the flyer. It's a little blue and white logo. Download it and make a free profile. You don't even need to add one photo for now. Go back to it when you have time. Very easy to use. So your photos can be there. Your resume can be there. You can put video links there. So anybody who's casting, who sees your profile, can just go there. They'll see your name. They'll see your photos, they will see your videos, they will see your CV, your bio, your height, your body type. Like there's so much detail in the app so that if somebody's looking for something very specific to you, they can find you easily. So it's called NECAST. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions about NECAST, or about acting, or about casting? Yes. One moment. There's one? Okay, thank you.
All right, so my question is about audition/character building. One thing that we directors have to deal with is actors and them showing what I like to call a range. So we ask an actor, play it this way, and then we tell them, okay, play it another way. but they just keep repeating it the same way over and over again. So my question is, do you think or do you believe that any actor can handle any role, or is there a limit to which they can stretch themselves?
That is an excellent question. And this question pretty much, I think it boils down to training. A lot of actors in Nigeria just wake up one day and decide, I want to be an actor. And then they start going to auditions. So they don't have any technique. When you tell them to do something in a different way, they don't know what you're talking about. So they'll just repeat the performance 10 times. But a trained actor will know what can be tweaked, what can be changed, what variation can be done. So that's an excellent question, but unfortunately, the only way that can be overcome is for more actors in this environment to go to acting classes. Go to acting classes, find good teachers, find good acting tips so that you can learn what it is to play a different action or to play a scene differently. That's a really a technical thing, and the majority of the actors you're gonna meet have not had one day of acting class. They're just beautiful people who decided they want to be famous, and now you have to deal with it. Unfortunately, but that's a good question. But I'm encouraging everybody to, go online, look for acting tips, look for acting classes. There's a lot of free acting lessons on YouTube, a lot of free things on the internet. Take advantage of them. It's like it's free knowledge. Like, take it, use it. Yeah. Any other thoughts on casting? Thoughts on casting? Yes. Thank you.
Hi. So, what if, as an actor, you're given a role that doesn't give you room to be as dynamic or as versatile? What do you do then?
Okay, that's also a very good question. It's like the example I was giving of Chadwick Boseman playing Black Panther and playing the role in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Some roles, like the superhero role, there are certain things that don't fit the role. So, just to be honest, some roles you can't play every action for that role. The roles have some confines to them. They're in character. There's certain things your character would do and wouldn't do. So it might feel a little restrictive, but the only advice I can give in that aspect is that try to, in that box of your character, let's say you're playing a superhero, you're playing T'Challa, in that box, try to find any moment where you can bring other dimensions in, but still be within the box. That sounds like awful advice. Being in a box, that is awful. But he's a good, he's an example of that good acting. You saw his moments of weakness. He was a superhero, but you did see moments where he was confused, where he was lost, where he lost his temper, where he wasn't perfect. So as an actor, you can find those moments. So even though you're playing a superhero, you're supposed to be strong and flawless and, superhuman, there are moments you can find. I think in my audition tips, I called it finding the opposites or finding moments of love. If you're a villain, find moments to be vulnerable. So you can find the clues in the script. Look for places in the script, and then the director, if you try it and the director will tell you, no, I don't want that or not, but try it first. Experiment. So first, of course, you have to do your homework, do all your character building, your backstory, do your homework thoroughly, then play with the role. Find those places and see if the director, if it's in line with the director's vision for the whole story. But it is possible to do it, and it involves playing. But you can't play until you've already done the homework. It's possible. Any other thoughts on casting? You have one? Thank you.
Thank you so much. If within 2 years, we're saying you didn't get a job role, what are you expected to be doing during that 2 years?
Okay, so if you're an actor, those 2 years.
It's just. What are you going
Great
to be
question.
doing?
During those 2 years,
What do you
were you going to auditions during those 2 years?
If you don't get opportunity to even, you're going, and you're not being auditioned, or you're not even getting roles, you're asking for a particular role, about 500 role, and you're not being picked either by the food. Yeah, you said that about.
Okay.
What do you do?
So, okay, it depends. If during that 2 years you went to 50 auditions and you didn't get a job versus those 2 years you only went to one audition. If you went to one audition, the answer is pretty clear. Go to more auditions. But if you went to 50 auditions in those 2 years and you didn't get cast in any of them, then you definitely need to start looking at, number one, your type. Are you going for roles that you don't fit? Are you going for roles that you don't fit? Yes, you have to re-strategize how you're going about roles. One is your type. Number two, are you performing well? Are you auditioning well? Are you doing your monologues well? So seek help from like an acting coach or an acting school or a teacher. So first you got to check your skill and your performance. Are you doing? And then you got to check your type. Is your type? Are they not looking for your type a lot? Or so what can you do when during those 2 years? Well, now we have the internet, so you can start putting your monologues, share them with the world, put them on TikTok. I find as a performer that if I have an audience of one person or two people, I still feel like I performed. It doesn't have to be 2 million people or 2,000 people. So if I put one of my monologues on TikTok and 3 people view it, that's an audience of 3 people. And for me personally, that's fulfilling because when I act, I want what I did to be seen by others. So go to the internet, share some of your monologues. Definitely check out teachers and classes to see if you're performing. Check your always. And then also, okay, in my acting school, it was a 3-year acting conservatory, a master's program. And in the first 2 years, the first 1 year, they let us act for a year and they didn't tell us anything. We would go and we would perform and then we would sit down and we would look at the professor and wait for some critique, and they were just, for a year, they gave us no real feedback. So we were very lost and confused that first year. Like, am I acting well or not? Did I do that one well or not? How do I know? They did that deliberately. The program was designed that way to teach us how to evaluate ourselves. As an actor, you cannot be seeking outward for someone else to tell you if you performed that monologue well or not. You have to know inside you, did I perform it well or not? And the only way to get there is to study your craft, practice, train. But you have to come to a point where you can say, I did the monologue well, so if they didn't cast me, who knows what the reason is? It's not because I didn't do it well. So, so there's a lot of things you can do those 2 years to keep acting and to be fulfilled. Go online, but definitely check your type to see. And then in Abuja also, I've also heard of this phenomenon in Abuja of fake auditions. They keep having auditions in Abuja where they already have the lead cast. They don't really need anybody for the lead roles. They just want extras, but they advertise it as an audition. So everybody comes out of their house and spends transport money and gets their hopes up and comes, but there are really no roles. So depending on where you are, this is my experience in Abuja, these things can happen. And that's another thing the actors need to consider is the legitimacy of the audition. There are fake auditions in Abuja, meaning they just want crowds, they just want extras, but they advertise it on a flyer and a poster to make it look like they're casting the lead. They had the lead long ago. The lead is the director's girlfriend. You know what I mean? So that also happens. So there's a lot that goes into play. To be an actor, you need to be strong and you need to be ready for suffering and you need to persevere. It's not for the faint of heart. Anybody who thinks it's easy, that's why people drop out after a year. But anybody who stays in acting for more than like 2 or 3 years and they're still acting, those people are not to be toyed with. Those are tough people. Any other thoughts on casting? Or is there somebody here? Okay, please.
Okay, I have a question. I just came out from a film school and I'm really confused. I don't know what to do, how to go into the industry, how to take my first step. It's really confusing. I don't know what to do. We don't know what to do.
Okay, so you just came out of a film school.
Yes,
What
last
did you
week.
study? Directing or acting?
Acting.
Acting. So you just came out of school acting. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
First of all. And
Thank
you don't know what to do. All right, so some of the tips I put up would be helpful. The first one, of course, is always stay warm. Always stay ready and well-oiled. Always have a monologue ready. If somebody stops you at the market and says, do a monologue now, You should have a monologue ready all the time. So stay warm because you never know when opportunity is going to knock. 2, network. As I said, find other actors to go on auditions with. But again, if you have a friend, let's say you're maybe 22 and she's also 22 and you're going for the same role, that gets tricky. Like for me, I learned early on when I was networking, I started networking more with guys or with girls who were not my type. Okay, here's an example. I walked into a green room, the waiting room for an audition. And my school was all white people. I was one of the only black people in the school. And I came into the green room and I noticed there was like about 5 white girls in the room. And the 5 white girls were all sitting coolly, aloof, not really looking at each other. And when I came into the room, each of them, oh, hey, Linda, hey, they were so friendly to me, but they wouldn't talk to each other. And then a white girl came in the room and they all turned, looked her up and down and turned back. And I was like, oh, I get it. I think it was Juliet in Romeo and Juliet. They all knew I wasn't going to get cast because I was black. So they were being mean to each other because they were all each other's competition. Linda's not going to get it because Linda's black. Juliet won't be black. So we can be nice to her. Say, hey, Linda. Why do I bring this up? Who you network with as an actor, it's going to get dicey. It takes a strong personality to be friends with somebody who's the same age as you, same body type as you, going for the same roles as you. You don't know which one of you might get the role. You might both be talented. So when you're networking, try to also make friends with actors who are not your type. And just to help to save your friendship, or you can be a very enlightened and strong person. I'm not enlightened and strong. I'm very competitive and jealous and petty. Why did they give it to her? You know what I mean? I'll be mad. I won't talk to her for 3 days. I'm not that enlightened or like, spiritually wise or whatever. I'm a petty human. So it takes a strong person to be friends with an actor that's their own type. So when you're networking, network with actors that are your type, actors that are not. Be in every group online. Find Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups. Be on Anycast. And just be out there and always be learning. Learning never ends. So you just graduated, but you don't know everything there is to know about acting yet. Neither do I. So anywhere you see anything involving acting, go and seek it out and learn. Be learning every day. Do one thing every single day for the rest of your life if you're actually like committed to acting, because it's like a vocation. To be an actor to me is like to be a pastor or a nun, or you sacrifice a normal life. Why? For what reward? So if you're really in it, then every day of your life, you need to do something that's related to acting, even if it's watching a video of vocal warm-ups. So you might need to go to a school again, go to a training again, get into like physical things, take dance classes, learn how to drive, learn how to swim, rack up on skills that will make you a more robust actor. So those skills will make you qualify for more roles. So it's a big and beautiful and exciting journey ahead of you, and no 2 paths are the same. So no advice I can give you can really prepare you for your journey as an actor. But just remember why you're doing it, so that when it gets hard, you don't quit.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So we have somebody in the back, please.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
It's not really a question, but just to add to what you said, I think one of the best advice I got is in your film school, you had directors, you had producers. Those should be your closest friends, because they are constantly looking for people who would act for them. They are constantly. So I think that at your beginner, you should volunteer some more. Be available to people who need an actor, because that's how to showcase yourself. Before the world sees you, you have to pay your price, right? The second is probably a question, but I'm not sure. I've come to realize that a lot of people are interacting for the wrong reasons. And sometimes it affects whether you get a call back or not. So because you see someone act a beautiful role in a movie doesn't necessarily mean that you're called out for acting. So you may be like me. I started as an actor, but then I realized I'm a better filmmaker than an actor. So it was a beautiful transition for me, right? So you may be like me and think that, oh, I love the cameras. I love storytelling. But however, the closer you come, sometimes you find your place. So sometimes, yes, you don't get a call back, but that doesn't mean that in the entire filmmaking industry, there's not a place for you. You might be a better director than an actor. You could be a better cameraman. I know someone who has auditioned for a lot of roles, but right now, every international organization reach out to him for camera jobs. And he was going on one audition after the other, over and over again, but he ended up a very good cameraman. So sometimes the no might be, why don't you look inwards and ask yourself the real questions? Thank you.
That is excellent. Those are two very brilliant points. That's actually usually whenever I do like any acting training, usually the first point I bring up is I ask the actors, why do you act? It's the first question they asked us when we went to school, why do you act? And it's important to know why you act, because if you don't know, you could be going on for years, as you're saying, like going on for years, suffering aimlessly, not knowing why things aren't working out because you don't know why you act. And also, what is success? That's another question everybody should ask. What does success mean to me if I'm an actor? When do I know that I've made it? And what does that mean? And can that be adjusted? And answering those questions is key to having peace of mind, surviving in the industry. Do you have a... Yes, let's have another... Do we have time? Two more? Okay. Can we please have the microphone, please? Where's the mic? Okay. Oh, sorry. 1 minute. He's speaking. He's speaking first, and then she's next. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't think it's, I just wanted to ask, we have a Nigerian situation, and then we have the standard situation when it comes to acting and filmmaking generally. So you said sometimes people wake up and they'll just say, hey, I want to go into acting, or I want to become an actor. In Nigeria, I don't think that's the case. They wake up and they say, I am an actor, because we have a standard criteria for who is supposed to fit a role internationally. But in Nigeria, our roles are fit based on who we like, who we know, who we've slept with, who has paid us. There's a film school here in Abuja that where they were preparing for a film, and we had 2-3 people. Somebody just called, I'm giving you 20 million. I want that girl in this film. So in this case, it wasn't the director no, it was somebody else that she had slept with that had the finances to go to this director and say, hey, take this money. So what do we do to bridge that gap? Because you are preparing for a film, and just like we said yesterday, somebody says, we don't have known faces. So if we take all the known faces, what happens to the unknown faces? They keep trying to get into films, doing auditions, and nothing happens. And even in auditioning, let me be very clear. Here in Abuja, thank God you've been to some of them. We don't even know how to audition. So, have you been on a set in the US before?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever heard a director say, get out of my set in US?
Of course not. That's abuse.
Exactly.
That's a lawsuit.
Does that happen here?
I see lawsuits every minute. Lawsuits. Every minute.
Okay. So you see this, so there's this master and slave kind of relationship.
Yep.
So even the actors, because you do not understand the ethics, you think, he or she is the director. So, I mean, anything he says, exactly, you're shaking to do that. Please, many people think we're bashing Nollywood. No, we want a better Nollywood. So if we want it to become better, there are a lot of things we need to do, and we have the responsibility to tell ourselves the truth. Most of the acting schools that you think you go to is somebody that woke up one day and thought, what do I do? I've been looking for a job for 7 years. So, I mean, let me open an acting school or a film school. So all of those things are things I want us to start considering. You have to understand that there are people in this country that don't want the best for this. They just want to make money. She talked of Daniel Day-Lewis. He spent 5 months in that wheelchair, learning how to use his left foot. Okay? And there's a film, 12 Monkeys, that, you know, exactly, it's a beautiful film. So we have people that have gone to sanitariums just to stay with mad people so that they can perfect their roles. Now, you might think, oh, we are rushing this, or we don't have that time. I can assure you, it's a structural thing. The more you do this in this country, the more it becomes you, and you start losing yourself. Because at the end of the day, there are people that even if they paid them 300 million, they will still not do 6 months learning. They won't do it. Because they have trained themselves to do 2-day shootings. Let me tell you, that's the truth. So nothing changes. So we need to start understanding that it's a thing about values. What do you value more? Do you value this skill to be able to do this even when there's nothing? Or it's the money you're interested in? Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is like so on point. I think a conversation like this, these conversations need to keep happening because yes, most of the people in Nollywood are in it for money, not for art. They're in it for entertainment, not for art. So one of the things I think we can do is to keep talking about it. Because you keep talking about it, identifies it. Because many of the people in Nollywood don't know that there are abuses going on, that there's verbal abuse happening on set. They're not even aware that they're being abused. I saw somebody get slapped. The director slapped one of the PAs on set. I've seen directors hit people repeatedly on set, like strike, punch, slap on set. And they just kind of walk it off or they'll smile. And so they're not even aware. So these conversations are important. Us talking about it, I'm sure a lot of people in this room, a lot of the younger actors will now know that if you're on a set and you see something like this, maybe don't work with that director again. He's not professional. So knowledge is the first thing. Second thing is also that can help is us continually making films. This is the most painful part, making films with less money. So those people who have the 3 million who slept with somebody and now the 300 million to make a film and they cast the lead actor, those will continue. But we should support those who are making movies with 2 million naira. And it's a lot of suffering is involved. A lot of suffering is involved in art. And those who want to live a comfortable life, I would just tell you this might not be the field for you if you want to be comfortable. So please, we have one. Do you have the mic yet? Or do you want to talk still or no?
I wanted to say to her, you're saying I'm out of film school, what do I do? And I wanted to see whether I could help her because I think I'm not an actor, but I've been around and I know a few places and a few things you can do. So first of all, start from this room. There are a few actors, professional actors here. You can reach out to Caroline. She has an acting school and then they do some smaller jobs. And then you can go to the Council for Arts and Culture in Area 10. It's a stone throw away from here. they have auditions, and then they have a circle where, you know, people come in there, people who are, especially people who are into arts, into stage acting, because I think if you want to be a professional actor, that's like one of the best places to be. So they do a lot of stage performances there. Go there, mix with them. Those same crop of people on stage are the ones who we pick when we want to. Yeah, and then there's a garden somewhere, Hafia Garden, somewhere in Area 8, where they have auditions almost every weekend, and a few other places. But start from this room. There are a lot of actors, some actors, professional ones, and directors. So when you see somebody saying, I'm a director, go and take their number. And then try and join WhatsApp groups. That works a lot. Don't underestimate it. Okay, I think I've helped you a bit.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Do we have any more time? Okay. So thank you all so much. That was really fun and interesting, and I was really glad to be here and to talk about casting with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Don't we always enjoy her session? I always forget that rule. Don't go near the speaker. Sorry about that. Thank you again, Linda. That was a lot of learning, and it helped us highlight a lot of our challenges in the space here. We're going into a next session, which is very dear to my heart, because at the center of our work is working with adolescent girls. And we thought it great to have a space where schoolgirls and young girls could join us. We have some cute little girls in between there. Because all of these things, yes, we're trying to do this work, trying to fix everything here, but these are the people who we're going to drop this with. So we want to make sure we carry them along as well, and that they are learning with us. So we'll be watching some animations and having some discussions with girls. We want to hear how they receive these films, what it means to them. And just so they know, because the girls are just joining us from school, they haven't been here since we started day 1 and day 2. Today is day 3. Oh my gosh, we didn't even say what day we were celebrating today. So not right. But those who have been here since morning, can you guess? Today is what day? You have Expo in your hand. I forgot. This program has finished me. No wonder you were not even bothered. Yeah, so it's Europe and Oceania Day today, and that was why we had the Spanish embassy and the Portugal embassy visit us. So for our schoolgirls, you're welcome. This is the Women's International Film Festival. It's a festival that's curated for women working in the film industry, every aspect of the film industry, from the famous acting that you know, to the actual making of the film, those who carry the cameras, those who think of the vision of how the story will be told, which we famously call directors, those who handle the lights, those who handle the cameras, the sound design. So many parts go into making a film. And our film festival focuses on women who are working in that space. We want to see who are the women who are making stories and telling stories that truly matter in our generation. And we celebrate them. Our festival was launched in 2022. This is the second edition. And this year we had over 4,500 films from almost 140 countries. That's a big deal. Yes, it's a big deal for Nigeria. It's a big deal for Nigeria that we're able to host a festival like this and women are happy to send their films to us. And that's why we really celebrate them. And all the films that we show here, because part of our criteria is that your film has to have been directed, written, or produced by a woman for it to even be considered, let alone selected. And even after that, we want to see at least 60% of your film crew and cast, not just your cast, crew and cast being women. Yes, that's how intentional we are about making sure that we have more women coming into the space. Because if you look at our Nigerian landscape, we're still not doing so good. So for example, we're lucky this year, we made it into the nominations for Best Short, Best Picture. But when you come to Best Cinematography, we don't even have one film that even came close. There's no film that you see that is the woman that was cinematography. There's no sound design, no production design. Kai, even costume design self, we didn't even make it there. So you see, we have a lot of work to do to close the gap for our own country as well. And we hope that as we show films like this, we can see that inspiration. How many people watched Sarah, the film we watched yesterday? Do you know that the whole production design of that film, when I say production design, how everywhere looked in the film for all those different scenes, was a woman? That is phenomenal. And see how they got the costume of the olden days, and it's a lot of work. And to see women leading that, we can do it too. They don't have 5 heads, right? So we really want to use this medium to encourage more women in our own country to be able to enter these spaces as well. Original score, no woman from Nigeria. Come on to play music. Are you kidding me? We have a lot of work to do. And you're having countries like Poland, Iran. We can do this. Okay? So these animations are so dear to me as well, because for women to be making animations, some of us who watched the last set of films yesterday, we saw Joy Shannon, right? She has white hair, all of hair. And she made that fantastic movie. Are you kidding me? We can do this. It's not a function of whether you're young or old. Some of the films we received at the first edition in 2022, we had the youngest filmmaker, 7-year-old from the US. We had a 16-year-old from India. And yes, they didn't make it into the selections, but at least some of them even got honorable mention, which means we're seeing that there's prospect. So we don't think you're too young as well. You can do this. And you're having opportunities now to learn coding, robotics. So we hope that you're inspired to also build skills in this area. Okay? So now we'll be showing a set of 4 or 5 films. They're all short films from different countries. I'll be introducing them as we go along. I think we're starting with, The Thread of Remembrance. Okay, so the film will be cued in now. Happy viewing. Please, can we have the lights down? Thank you. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself for the young girls. Oh my gosh, so bad. My name is Caroline Seaman. I'm the festival director for the Women's International Film Festival. Welcome. Oh yes, and those who came in today as well. Don't. Sorry about that.
إلينا حبيبتي دخيلك، شو بتقولي؟ بعمل لك شيل زهر ولا أزرق؟
فضل الأزرق.
إيه ما فيك تعرفي يا تيتا أي متى النسمة بدها تطلع، لازم نضل بالدفع.